lot of time in the rainforest, a lot of bird watching, a little bit of beach time, but I liked the rainforest time better, definitely.
Did you go to the beach at the end of at the trail
A
at
lot of
the end
time
of
in
the
the
rainforest
rainforest,
at
a lot of bird watching. Did I
Manuel
what? Say that
uh
again?
at the Manuel I can't think of the whole name of the rainforest when you went to the
Antonio, Manuel Antonio.
Manuel Antonio. There was a
No,
beautiful beach there, beautiful ocean, beautiful cove at the end there that we thought was our favorite waterway in
I
Costa
did
Rica.
not know about that one. We went to Tamarindo, which is on the Pacific coast, and found a very remote black beach. There was nobody else on it, with just the blackest sand, even blacker than the sand in Hana in Hawaii. And then we went to the Arenal volcano area, and then we went to Monteverde, the rainforest area. So
Yeah.
yeah. Stayed at some really nice, very small, kind of private resorts. Didn't feel like big manicured thing, just felt like you were in a jungle. So
Nice.
Okay, so
Nice.
make sure I didn't unpin you, okay? I thought you were pinned, but then other people were popping in. So just make sure you're pinned so that they can see you here. And
okay.
okay.
You have to pin me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if I pin me, then I'll only see me and I can't see the rest of the class.
Okay.
You
Oh,
pin you pin me for your view.
okay.
Yeah.
Cute outfit, by the way, Maria.
Thank
She
you.
looks great. We
I
had
do have my jingle bells on.
and I said I forgot I had it hanging on the door, a green shirt and a red scarf that I completely forgot. Like I don't know.
Oh wow. Anyway, welcome everybody. It's good to see some faces I haven't seen in a while. And I can see Dr. Lou hiding over there. How are you, Lou? Good. Teresa and Linda, and hopefully some folks are coming in. Here comes Kathy.
You want to say something?
Hi, Marie. Thanks for
Morning.
recommending that Linnell do the look at the classes that she missed. And did I not send you all that? So Marie told Linnell, who is her daughter, that she missed a couple of good classes, and Linnell didn't get the email about it. When I
Always
send
get
the
my
link,
glasses.
when I record, did I forget to send you all those? Or she just didn't get it?
I don't
We don't know, and it doesn't matter.
I don't remember. Don't remember.
Okay, all right. Well, they are, if you ever want to look back on a class and you can't find the link, you do have to have it sent to you because we record it privately on the Joy YouTube channel so that not just anybody can pop in and take a look. So there is some privacy to that, which is really nice. And I will always send you a link. Maria has access to the Joy YouTube channel and she can probably send you a link too,
think I
but
can do this.
better just to bother me about it. She's got other things she's got to do. Anyway, so what we wanted to talk about today, donation scams, browser extensions, again, looking under the sea, and snail mail scams. And then Carlene also had a burning question about signing documents. So, Carlene, are you going to be here the whole time?
I leave at 9:20 to get in the car. Then I'm just listening. And then
you're
you're
in the car.
out of reach for 1 block.
Okay. All right, so we'll make sure that we hit your question before
Okay,
by 9:15.
thanks.
Okay. But I do want to catch up on some of those other things. So we're going to start with Linnell's question, which was about browser extensions. And browser extensions are something we don't think about very often because they just kind of are there. And it's like when you get a new device, you learn everything about that device and then you set it up and then you forget about it because everything's working perfectly. When they're not working perfectly, that's when we start to notice what's going on here and we dive a little bit deeper into it. So browser extensions are the kind of things that help things work better or run better or less annoying. That's a very simple, basic definition. So, how many people use Grammarly or are familiar with Grammarly? Anybody use
I
Grammarly?
do. I do.
Grammarly is an extension. That's a browser extension. It's something that you put on your device so that you have sort of your old high school English teacher in the background helping you with going, I don't think that's correct verb and subject agreement there, you know? And so it will help you correct. Now there are many other programs that have auto, correct built into it. Microsoft Word, I believe. Medina, I'm going to hit on you for this one because you use Word, correct?
Yes,
And that already has a built-in spell checker, grammar checker, all of that.
yes.
But if you're using any of the other kind of web-based programs that to write things, for instance, whether you're writing, and this is for on a computer. I've not used Grammarly on a mobile device at all. I'm sure that I could put it on if I wanted to, but I really don't want to because my phone has other things that are already built into it. So, if I put Grammarly, which I have put Grammarly on my computer, and in some ways it's really useful because it automatically tags things that need to be corrected. Hey, Andy and Renee. We're talking about browser extensions. And right now we're using an example of Grammarly as a browser extension. And so what it does is it just helps you have better English ability when you're writing something. And it can be super annoying because initially I think Grammarly was just that. And then it wanted you to upgrade to premium and it constantly keeps telling you, well,
Yeah.
here's the correction. But if you want to be better at it, click here and get premium. And it got so annoying because I couldn't figure out how to turn that off, that constant upgrade to premium thing. And so I ended up taking Grammarly off of my devices because it was just too annoying and I'll figure it out. And when I did that, I realized that even without Grammarly, there's a program built into Google Docs that does do some spell checking. It won't automatically switch it for me. I have to click on it. So it takes one extra step on my part to correct any grammar or spelling problems. But it does highlight it. It does do little dots under the word that I might spell differently. And so I'm fine with that. And that also works in emails, which are my two primary things where I'm writing things in. So Google Docs and emails, I don't need Grammarly. Grammarly got annoying. Other ones that are useful browser extensions are things like ad blockers. That's a browser extension. That's something that's going to stop ads from coming up, popping up, pop-up blockers. Those are extensions. Those are things that are going to make life less annoying by blocking the things that get in your face. All that being said, the reason why we had this conversation at all is because Linnell was asking about browser extensions, had read an article about the dangers of browser extensions. And I'm like, I didn't know there were dangers. So kudos to Linnell for letting us know about that. And just so you know, she got that from a newsletter that she gets from her web protector, her antiviral program. And I've forgotten the name of it again already. It's IDX.
No, yeah, they're not a web protector. They're my credit monitoring
Okay,
company.
credit monitoring, which is great. Kudos to them for doing that. But it is IDX.
Yes.
Okay. And so they send her a newsletter and she shared a couple of those with me. And they're really great because it's very similar to the one that Linda sends me from Malware Bytes that has just what's the newest information about the threats out there and how can we protect ourselves about them. And the advice is pretty much the same across the board in keeping ourselves safe and sane. And I think the useful thing to know is that there are more threats every day, and we do the same things to protect ourselves against all of them, and we're going to stay pretty safe. What it said in the article that she sent me was that with web extensions, if you're going to download one, you're going to do some research on it first. So let's just take an ad blocker, for example. If I decide, okay, I love browsing the web, but I hate getting to web pages that are just full of ads. And a good one is AP, Associated Press, which is just a, basic newswire reporting service, but it's free. And so there's lots and lots of ads in it. So if I download a web extension, which is an ad blocker, to block those ads while reading the news, then I want to make sure that the blocker that I'm downloading is a safe one. What's happening right now with web extensions is they have found a way to get around any of the companies that offer them, finding a way to get around their safeguards and put in malware, put in trackers. So let's say I'm a bad actor and I've created this program that allows me to see a user's keystroke, which is a very common one. So in other words, every time I hit a key, it's going to record that keystroke. And that information is useful for me because I can get your passwords from it, for instance. Okay, so think about it. Everything you touch becomes then visible to that bad actor because I've downloaded a program that allows them to do that. How did that happen? The bad actor said they created a useful product, gave it to Google. Let's just use Google for example, because Google Chrome has had some of these. Google Chrome says it's only 1% of all of the extensions that they have found malware on there, but 1% is still something. So we'll just go with the scenario. So they've gotten past the protections that Google has put in. They've somehow managed to fool the people who review any product that Google offers. So now it's available when you go to add a Chrome extension, there it is, and you think, okay, well, Google said it was okay because I know that everyone, whether it's Safari, Firefox, Google, all of those, when they allow a company to partner with them, they are going to use a pretty rigorous process. And I've been able to see the process working through a company who was getting an app on Apple. And so I know how hard it is to actually get through that process. And they're all the same. They're all going to have the same, monitoring where they're going to see, is this a safe program? But they somehow managed to get through. 1% manages to get through. You then download that extension on Chrome or Safari or Firefox or Microsoft Edge, and you start using it. When you start using it, you give it permissions to do certain things. Example, it asks you permission for location. You say, sure. Do you need to give it your location? If it's a mapping program where you're using to drive somewhere or find directions or look at the globe, yes. If not, no. Nobody needs to know where you are. They don't. They don't. So I never give location, like I said, unless it's very specific to that need. let's take Zoom, for example. Zoom is it's not an extension, it's a program itself. It's an app and a website. But do I give it access to my camera and microphone? Yes, it doesn't work if I don't give it access to my camera and microphone. So you want to really put in your common sense there and think about this thing that I'm asking to put on my programs here. What do I need it to do? And what is it asking for from me? And if it doesn't need it to function, then don't give it permission to do that. And so that's something that you really, really want to think about. The other thing when you're looking at extensions is you want to make sure that it's one that can be trusted. How do you know? Just do a search, do an internet search for it. Do an internet search in a program you don't normally use. So if you're going to download it in Google Chrome, for instance, don't do a search in Chrome. Open up a different browser and do a search for it. So use Microsoft or use Safari or use whatever browser you're not going to download it onto, because you can always just go to the web and type in Bing and there's your Microsoft search engine, right? Same thing, I can type in Safari and I think I can get Safari, or I can use a friend's iPhone. So do the search somewhere else. Then you're really getting, there's no stakes for them about what the answer is, right? And I wish Amy were here because Amy's always saying, don't open up a sponsored one. Absolutely. Remember those ones that come up at the top? Always says sponsored right above it. Don't open the sponsored ones because sponsored ones have gotten through. Go down. Even though sponsored one is probably going to answer your question exactly, go down to the site, maybe the very same website that says, let's just say PC Magazine, and PC Magazine comes up at the top of your search for your question about web extensions, this particular one. Scroll down, the same article for PC Magazine is going to show up lower down. So don't go for the sponsored one. They're not trustable. Move down just a little bit. So then you look and you see some reviews. Okay, has there been problems with this one? Has anybody identified any threats with it? If you use a antiviral program, Malwarebytes or any of the other myriad of ones out there, Webroot, Norton, McAfee, any of those, do a search in their database. Has this particular extension that you're looking for ever come up as a problem for anybody? That's a great place to start when you're asking that particular question. If it all looks good, then go ahead. Go ahead and put it in. And when you do, that's when you think about it's going to ask for permissions. Limit its permissions to only the things that you want it to look at. So, if you're doing Grammarly, for instance, and you're wanting it to check your documents for correct spelling, grammar, all of that, then you would have to give it access to your documents. That's the point of it. So yes, you're going to say, yes, you can have access to this. Can you have access to my camera? No. So think about what you're giving access to. Does that help a little bit with explaining about what extensions are, how we use them? And there's a couple of hands, so we'll start with Terry.
Yes,
Um,
I guess I gotta put my hand up.
recently I've done a Google search for a restaurant, for example, and it comes up right away, like on your screen as a Yelp or as something else, instead of going first to, Lido restaurant or something. And I just noticed, I don't notice it all the time, because
Mhm.
usually I'm just looking for hours or sometimes a menu or something, but it's interesting. I don't know what I Googled differently or how
So are you putting in the actual name of the restaurant because you want
Yeah.
to know, for instance, the hours?
yeah,
Okay. I'm guessing that the Yelp one is going to be sponsored.
yeah.
And the reason why it's sponsored is because they paid for it to come up first.
But
Yelp,
what happens is sometimes it's just sort of there. It's like on the screen. Like it had just recently, maybe the last 2 weeks. Maybe I'll try it again to see. And it comes like that's your answer. You know what I mean? And then you do see if you could scroll down, it comes to other things, but it comes there as an answer, like, not click here.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Um,
Oh, I know what
see if you
she's saying.
can see if you can duplicate that.
Yeah.
And then Medina had her hand and then Linnell.
Okay, so when I type a document in Microsoft Word on my MacBook, if I double tap the function key, I can just speak. I don't have to type my document. Is that called an extension?
No, I think that's really cool.
I know, it's very cool.
I don't have a Mac.
I still have to make sure I read it and edit it because they'll sometimes get things wrong and they won't capitalize where I need it to be capitalized. But I was just wondering if that's what an extension is.
No,
No, okay.
no. That sounds like a feature, but I will double check on Scott's.
Yeah, it's
So
amazing.
it
It's
seems
amazing.
like on my phone, when I want to write something, I will, let's just say I start a chat and I'm going to do it with Medina.
You press the microphone, right? And you just speak.
So when I go here, my keyboard, and I use what's called Swift keyboard, on that keyboard, there's a little microphone right there.
Mhm.
Right, right.
And so when I tap that, well, interestingly, what it gives me is, I have to press and hold it. It actually gives me Google voice
Uh-huh.
to talk to it. And notice how it's everything I'm saying, it's putting right in there
Right,
as I speak.
right.
Period. I can even add the punctuation. I had to stop talking for a minute. So
Yeah.
then I tap that big blue thing in the middle, and if I want to talk some more, I tap it again and it'll light up blue. But I do have to go back in and look because it doesn't capitalize very well. It did do I'm
Yeah.
perfectly. It put in it's perfectly. I
Mhm.
mean, it likes Google Voice, it capitalized all that. So it works. It works pretty well. And I'm thinking that your double tap on your function key is probably similar to that. It's engaging something that's already built in to your system. Whoops.
Okay, my question really was, and you answered it. I wanted to know if that was a
It is not an extension.
That's-
extension. Okay, thank you.
Good question. Linnell.
Okay, can you show us how to take off an extension once we put it on?
Yeah.
And I use Chrome, so
Okay. Me
want to
too.
use Chrome, that's fine.
Okay, so let's go here and let me just maybe.
Maybe.
Okay. Yep. Hang on. Let me share the screen. I'm hoping that you'll be able to see my whole screen. So that's my main question as to whether or not I can do this. All right. Can you see the top of my screen where it shows all the tabs I've got open?
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So over here, when I hover right next to my address bar, so I've got my address bar, right? And I've got my little bookmark feature, my star. And then I've got this little thing that looks like a puzzle. This is extensions. Now here's the
Oh, okay.
question. Here's the question. When I click on this is whether or not you all are going to be able to see the pop-up. Did you see the pop-up that happens when I click
Yes.
that? Okay.
Yes.
It says extensions. It says no access needed. These extensions don't need to see and change information on this site. So the only two extensions I have here are Adobe Acrobat for PDF editing and Lumen, which is the same. It's another PDF editor. But down below here, here's the settings, Linnell. Manage
Okay.
extensions. So I click on that. Now, can you see the whole new page that opened up?
Yes.
Yes.
And so, and then I also have Google Docs offline. So I 100% trust Adobe Acrobat. I have to trust Google Docs offline. It's what I use. And Lumen, yes, I've used it for quite some time. I guess kind of the feature about this is I was trying it out for using as a PDF editor because not paying for PDF editing gives me limited access to make changes with things. So I was trying Lumen. I don't find that I liked it any more or less, but you can see right here, here's the remove button. I can
Okay.
also just turn them off by clicking this. Okay, so that would turn off. But
Okay,
it
pretty
does-
straightforward.
Pretty straightforward. And then details. I can click on details and it will tell me what version it is, what permissions I give it, and those kinds of things. And I can change some of those permissions too. To get an extension, I would go to the Chrome Web Store. So that's where I would get them. So yeah, it's pretty simple. All right, I'm going to stop the share. That pretty much covered everything about extensions. Hopefully that made some sense and was useful to folks. Main thing is don't download something that you don't know and that you haven't done any research on, or that you don't 100% trust the source of where it came from. Let's talk about something fun for a minute. Let's see, 9:15. No, we're going to talk about Carlene first. So Carlene's question was she is going to need to sign something, correct?
Yes, my husband needs to do it, so I have to miss yoga tomorrow so I can stay home and help him do this electronic signature, which I'm not really familiar with. He's buying a car through Hertz rental program,
Okay,
and they're in Bonita Springs, so
okay.
trying to
It's
finalize the deal.
super easy. I'm sad you have to miss yoga for this because it's super easy. Basically, you don't have to do anything other than what they're going to send him. So they're going to send him a document in an email, and he's going to open this document, and I'm sure that because this company has done this like a million times yesterday, they're going to use state-of-the-art programs for this. And so I'm just going to use examples of when we sold our house, and we weren't in the Keys when we sold the house. We were up here. So you can do all of this remotely. They'll send you something in a program. There are many out there. Realtors often use something called DocuSign, and it just comes in this email. The email doesn't have the document as attachment. It's generally a link. And so on this email that you get, there's going to be the big button that says, click here to sign your documents. You click that, it takes you to another website. That website is your secure document website. So it's got lots of super security on it. I feel very confident about it. And every place that you need to do something, whether it's, and in most contracts, you're going to have to initial. And then at the bottom, you'll have the big signature. Sometimes you'll have a couple of signatures in the middle, and they're going to be, every one I've ever had to do has been highlighted in yellow. It's like, boop, here, don't look anywhere else. You know, of course, read the document, but this is where you have to take action. This is where you take action here, and then sign here. Some of these also, and if you just read the instructions at the top, are going to say, you can do a speed sign kind of thing where you say yes to the very top one, and it fills them all in for you. And you don't have to do anything else but that top one. That kind of puts people off from reading the entire document. You can still read the entire document, which I highly recommend that you do. But literally, you can do it one of two ways. You can pick just a print, and it's going to give you a text that is, you know, for me it would be BB, Betsy based. And that all the initials would be BB, and it's just a text. And you go, well, that's not my signature. Well, it is, because it's an electronic signature. By being at your location on your device with your specific IP address, it is only can be attributed to you. But I choose, because I'm paranoid, I choose to do a handwritten one. And so it will give you a box, and you have to read it. That's the main thing with these, is that you actually read what it's telling you. It'll say, do you accept this signature? And you go, no, I want to do a handwritten one. And so then you can do a handwritten one. On my computer, I have a touchpad, so I don't use a mouse. So I'm using my finger to sign. I know what my finger signature looks like, and it's gotten pretty good over the years. It's not so bad as it first was. But we're used to this in all kinds of places where we go now. Pretty much it's gotten even better since COVID, where it's, sign here, sign here, sign here. We touch devices instead of touching papers. And then that's it. You're going to click, once you've done them all, you'll click submit, and then it will send you a copy of your document, and it'll give you access to everything that you've done that way. And then what I do is I download it so that I have the digital copy on my device. Super easy.
But the question is, so my husband needs a touch screen is what he needs, right? Because he
No, you
can't.
can do it with a
No.
mouse. You can do it with a
Chromebook.
mouse.
No, he doesn't have a mouse with his Chromebook. So I have to open my Chromebook with the mouse. I have a
Wait a
mouse
minute.
on my Chromebook.
What's he got on his Chromebook?
He just has a touchpad. Oh, he
Yeah,
has a
you use your
touchpad.
touchpad.
Oh, yeah, I'm
Oh.
not familiar. Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
that's right.
you use your touchpad.
Can I
Okay.
interrupt for a minute?
Of course.
Joyce is in Jerusalem, so look at her picture and you can see a little view of Jerusalem.
What time of day is it?
Oh,
You're muted, Joyce. You're muted.
afternoon.
It's 7 hours later. 7 hours.
Oh, okay. Good to
Cool.
see you. Enjoy your time.
Betsy, I have something to add, if I may.
Please, yes.
I just did this yesterday with a form from my brokerage. So he sent it to Schwab, which is his clearinghouse. Schwab sent me the DocuSign. I actually, for the first time ever, I had a series of like 3 or 4 questions that reminded me of the questions that I get asked when I do my credit report. Like, what's the last 4 digits of your driver's license? What address have you been previously associated with? So that was their way of verifying. So
That's
she may
good.
have that same thing as an interim before they even let me get to the page to sign it.
Interesting. Interesting. I have not experienced that, so that's good to know.
That was the first time I've ever experienced that, and I've DocuSigned quite a few different
Yeah, yeah. And there are a couple of different companies that do it. I've had DocuSign primarily as the one but I can't remember who else. Somebody else has used a different one. But they all operate the same. Bye,
Okay, so
Carlene.
That's all I needed to know. Thanks, bye.
Cool. All right. Next one that I wanted to look at was something fun. And let me pull up that page so it's already happening.
Hey, Betsy.
Yeah.
Just one fast thing. The first years we lived here, it's like 8 years ago. We sold 2 houses. We sold our house and my mom's house from down here. And at the time, they still wanted a lot of things texted. I'm not text,
facts.
Faxed.
faxed, thank you.
Okay.
And it was funny, they really thought it was, when I asked the bank, the realtors, and all the different people from the close and the attorney, they said, we find it to be, it seems like an old thing, but it seems like, again, I think this was before actors, right? I mean, original sign, what are you just talking about? This way you sign it,
Mhm.
on the thing. And it was interesting because then we had a fight, something to do with John's parents' condo just last year, just, not even a major, financial thing. And they wanted us to fax it too. So that, I mean, I haven't heard somebody wanting a fax for a very long time.
You know who does it a lot? Doctors' offices.
Yes.
So
I mean, I was
and
wondering
I
about-
questioned that because I'm like, this is so archaic. Who has a fax machine anymore?
Anna Beerquist's office.
Yes.
Am I speaking with Marie?
Yes.
Okay. I'm just calling to let
Put
you know
yourself
that
on
that's
mute.
about a 90-day supply of your medication hydrology
Put her on mute.
pharmacy.
I
Too much
am.
information.
Okay.
There we go. Oops. So the reason why is because what I've been told is that fax is far more secure. And that when doctors are sending medical records, they still don't want to send it as internet, which is obviously easily hackable, whereas fax machines are not hackable. It's going over a telephone line. I guess phone lines aren't hackable. I mean, I imagine they would be in some way, shape, or form, but I think there's logistics involved that you can't do it from Belarus or
Yeah.
wherever you are.
From
So
years of work, it's funny. The only thing that we did a lot of client information and stuff. The only thing that wasn't as well is there was 10 people that could access that machine. They're looking to fax and pull it off. They pull it off. They could read. I mean,
oh yeah,
I
absolutely.
hope in a doctor's office they have it in a separate place where there's
Absolutely.
not
But
ordering
remember
from us.
that everyone in the doctor's office, because I worked in a hospital and one of my jobs was training new staff and annual training of all staff is client confidentiality, patient confidentiality. Everyone has to agree to maintain and hold patient confidentiality at all times. So everyone who works in that doctor's office who has access to that machine, they're required to keep things confidential.
Yeah.
So it is still confidential. I mean, there's always human
Found that,
beings
as I
involved.
said about real estate, found that interesting. So I forgot about
Yeah.
doctors.
Yeah. Medina?
Can you fax without a landline? Can you fax from a cell phone?
And I was going to go there next. Let me answer
Ooh,
Martin's question.
Okay.
Amy's here. Yay!
Okay.
We already
Um,
talked about your girlfriend. Go ahead,
Well,
Martin.
On the doctor's office, they've been asking me for social security numbers. What's the prognosis there?
You don't
In a
know.
doctor's office, they must have your social security number.
Yeah, okay. Is there any sort of document that I could present to them, they could sign ensuring their confidentiality? Because that's a very important number.
It is. Yes, when you go to the doctor's office, they give you a form about that.
Yeah,
And because we're always just signing the forms like, yeah, I don't feel good, let me in.
Yeah.
It's the HIPAA form.
okay, HIPAA, okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
that says that you are protected. But that's an excellent question.
Yeah, because
yes.
you always have some clerk there, who's angry for the day. Well,
Yeah.
guess what? I could sell these numbers,
They can. And that's anything with human beings. Wells Fargo a
Yeah,
couple of years ago, I want to say 5 years ago, maybe,
yeah.
had some employees that were skimming
Yep,
off of,
yep.
customer accounts and
Sure.
millions of dollars. It got discovered. They got prosecuted.
Yeah.
I don't know for sure, but I was a Wells Fargo customer at the time. So I followed it pretty closely. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure that your money
Yeah.
is protected in that situation.
Okay,
So yeah, it's illegal, and I mean,
yeah,
we do our best to stop criminals every way we can.
Yeah.
And that being said, Martin, there is, I think we're going to run out of time today, but I will talk about Social Security numbers because that's a whole new thing, and we will do that on January 8th. How about that?
okay, very good, excellent, thank you.
We'll do it in great detail.
Okay,
because there's lots of information. But right now, we're going to take a break from the bad news, sort of, and we're going to look at something interesting. Is it?
Betsy, can you put for the next meeting also how to fax from a cell phone?
Yes.
So we don't have to do that today.
Okay. We
Google it.
absolutely can. All right. So now we're going to go take a little journey. So, who knew that underneath the ocean, there are these cables? I'm sure you all heard about the break in the cable that happened, I guess it was maybe the end of November, end of October, maybe it was about a month ago now. And 11:30, that was when it happened. It was the end of November. And so there's this undersea cable where the internet happens for Africa and many other places. And so these cables can break. They're at the bottom of the seafloor, called the bottomless hole. How about that?
Wow.
So you've got Ghana, you've got the Ivory Coast, you've got this cable going across on the bottom of the seafloor. And we scroll down a little bit more. I think there's one more good picture. Here's all these cables, and they're very, very deep. And they were set here by machine and humans, obviously. But this particular cable here broke. And so that means no one in these areas had any access to anything. This was March. Tens of millions of people in West Africa had no internet, which means no hospital, no business owners could pay wages. All of their screens just said connecting, connecting, connecting. It was imagine what it would be like to have zero access. So here's what it looks like underneath this particular canyon. This is where cables cross. And this is what it would look like from the side. Here it's 144 feet deep. This is 348 feet deep, just a little bit further down. I wish that they had a mark for here. They don't, but down here is 3,000 feet deep, 6,000 feet deep. It's pretty darn deep and dark and very hard to get to. And so, these countries had zero internet, lots of problems. So I thought it was pretty interesting. I don't think, there we go. There's a little bit more. Here's the depth of the cables and what was going on with them. I'm going to include this article if you want to look more at it. But so here's the cables, and here's the remote operated vehicle that they were doing to inspect them and look at them, see how they can fix them. And they were able to fix them, which is pretty cool. Here's a mock-up of what it looks like where they fix them. This is what our fiber optic lines look like. Here's our fiber optic line. Then there's all of these protective coatings from PVC to copper to steel to getting down to the actual fiber optic lines. They had to splice these cables together and then put another protective coating over them. And you're thinking, okay, well, why does this matter to me at all? Here's some of the things that can break these cables. So they're not sure if how the cables broke. Let me see if there's any more interesting. Here's the repair, pulling them up and bringing it actually up to the ship and then repairing it up on the ship. I don't know. I'm just kind of fascinated by this stuff. This is,
Wow.
it's dusty down there. And so, it's like it's a really difficult thing to do to fix these things. This is what cable looks like before it gets laid. And think of how many miles of that there are crisscrossing the oceans and what can go wrong. things like earthquakes and avalanches can actually break them. Ships' anchors can break them. They're supposed to be so deep that ships' anchors can't, but they think that a ship's anchor did. They're not 100% sure. And the question that I came up with after looking at this article, and like I said, I'll send it to you so you can read all the details. This is pretty fascinating. How they get laid, where they get laid, how they get fixed, and how safe are they? You know, how vulnerable are they to disruption? The worrying thing about it is they are kind of vulnerable. I mean, they're down so deep that one would think that they're not vulnerable and that they're safe down there at the bottom of the ocean. But there's, you know, a lot more accessibility to the bottom of the ocean. It's not easy, but the question that many leaders around the world are asking is, okay, now what? There were two particular instances. This one in Africa is what we were looking at. But can you imagine the disruption in the world when not a hacker, but an anchor or an actual act of terrorism, undersea terrorism were to happen, to cutting off all information? That's not something we could control. So I love the fact that they can fix them. I love the fact that they're underneath there linking the world, you know. I mean, it's really pretty amazing. And I think it's just a miracle of technology that we have this where we can connect with Ghana or Joyce in Israel. I mean, how does that happen? She wouldn't be there if we didn't have those cables crisscrossing the ocean. So it's kind of cool.
That would make a great thriller.
I know.
I know.
I know. Somebody's already dreaming it up, I'm sure. The last thing I wanted to talk about today is snail mail. So let me pull that one up, and we got that. Oh, we didn't talk about, nope, I knew there was another one. So before we do snail mail, I want to talk about another thing that happens during the holidays that is something that we have to sadly watch for, is the phony donation plea. So there are lots of scams out there. We talked about several of them 2 weeks ago. But this is another scam where you get asked for money during the holidays and I'll tell you, you know, I wish that they would limit it all to Giving Tuesday and just go, okay, if you send it to me on Giving Tuesday, great. But I just keep getting again and again and again more requests from various organizations to help them out. Your year-end donation makes a big difference. And it's just over and over and over again. But know that there are also people who are snagging on this with sending you out a phony donation looking like it's from UNICEF or, you know, the American Cancer Society, or you pick and name it, they're out there. And so what you want to do before you click on anything digital is you want to look at Charity Navigator. Charity Navigator is where all legitimate organizations are going to register with, so that they are vetted and deemed, yes, they are a legitimate 501c3. Two is, how do they spend their money? Do they spend all of their money padding the CEO's bank book? I personally, it's a personal choice, but I don't want to donate to an organization that gives most of the money to the CEOs and the board. I want it to go to the good of whatever that charity organization is. So, and just so you know, Joy Incorporated, Just Older Youth, is listed on Charity Navigator. And so you can look and see all about it right there. So anytime you get an opportunity to donate and you want to donate for some cause, first of all, if it's a small local cause, like, you can walk into the Joy Center and you can meet the people, you can talk to board members, you can find out how things operate, and you can learn all about it and to see whether or not that's a good place to invest your charity dollars. What good does it do? What are its future goals? Ask a Joy board member. Terry is one of them. I can name most of the other ones too. But another local, let me think. Marvelous Pet Rescues is a very specific Keys charity organization. You can walk into Marvelous Pet, you can see what they're doing. Name me another one.
Florida Bay forever.
Florida Bay Forever protects the environment there in the Keys. Moat Marine is another one that protects the Coral Restoration Foundation. Lots and lots of charities that you can hone in on if you want to have your money invested in doing some good in the world for whatever you care about. I'll tell you about one, and I honestly don't remember which one is which, so I'm just going to talk generically. But when my dad passed of Alzheimer's, I wanted to donate to Alzheimer's research. So I did a deep dive, starting with Charity Navigator, and there's another one. Anybody remember what the other one is that also reviews and analyzes nonprofits? Anybody wants to Google that while I'm talking, that'd be helpful. I should have looked it up, but Charity Navigator is the big one, but there's another one too. And it's like Charity Navigator, but not the same name. But anyway, so I did a search for programs on Charity Navigator that strictly deal with Alzheimer's, and it was quite telling. The big ones that you hear about all the time do spend more than I'm comfortable with giving their money to their CEOs and their CFOs and their board, as do most large national organizations, sadly. There's a particular disease that nearly everyone gets. I don't donate to any of those anymore because their CEOs have huge, huge bankrolls. I want the money to go to research. So I did find Charity Watch, thank you, Linnell, is the other one. I did find an Alzheimer's nonprofit that does give more than half of its money to the actual research. So when I donate to that particular one. So do your homework when you're going to donate to someone. If it's not a local that you can go down there and talk to folks and really see how the operation is going, then do your research online. Go to Charity Watch, go to Charity Navigator. Anytime somebody's making a request of you, I personally wouldn't click on that email or that request, however that email or request came. I would go, I think I would like to give to USO, for instance. Now, USO is a very specific organization. There aren't duplicates as far as I know, but there are other folks doing similar things, but there's no duplicates of USO. So I wouldn't accept an email that came from USO. I would go online. I would do a search for USO. Here we go, Amy. I wouldn't click on the sponsored search result. I would go to the one down further that is USO. I would look at their page and make sure that it seemed legitimate, and then I would go ahead and donate. My parents met at a USO dance in 1944.
Oh,
They were
that's
both
sweet.
so shy, they could barely speak to each other for the first 3 weeks because my dad kept going back to that same place and asking my mom to dance, even though it just about killed him. But he thought she was the prettiest gal in the room, and she was so embarrassed. She was just wanted to do good. She wasn't going looking for a man, but here I am, it worked. So my mom has always given to USO, and that's why I bring that one up.
That's a cute story.
Cool story. Anyway, so just be wary about those, and then let's look at snail mail. Sadly, let me pull this one up. And like I said, I will be sending all of you these links so that you'll have them. I'm not going to send them right away because I have a doctor's appointment right after this, but We're going to pull up the most important part of this. And this is how hackers steal through snail mail. This is in Forbes magazine, so I do trust it. So it says that in the Swiss National Cybersecurity Center, issuing warnings to people in Switzerland that the cyber attacks employing physical postal service were uncovered. What they were doing, and this was coming through the Federal Office of Meteorology and Climatology. I can't even explain why they would use that, but they were fake. But what happened was in this, and it sounds like this would be easily copied in terms of, oh, this sounds like a good hack. I ought to try this one. What they were doing was putting in a QR code on a letter that they were sending to everyone that said, download this severe warning app. So let's think about that for a minute. QR codes. And that's really what I wanted to talk about was with this, because you think about it, okay, I tend to trust still something that comes in a letter more than I trust something that comes online. I've trained myself to be suspicious about online. With a letter, I think, okay, that's legit because that's a lot of work for hackers, right? But what anybody can create a QR code, and we have gone through QR codes before. They're useful. They're great. I love them. And I use them a lot and I create them a lot for easy access to things. But always when you scan a QR code, make sure you trust the source. If you're going to a restaurant and at the restaurant they have a menu and they and I've still seen it. We had this a lot in COVID where there's a QR code on the table. So people weren't touching menus. You take your phone, you hold it over the QR code, your menu is on your phone. Great, cool. I trust that. I came to this restaurant, they taped it to their table. Going down the street and seeing a poster on the side of a building, no, I wouldn't trust that. In a museum where it says, donate here. Yes, they want me to donate to them. They put that there. I would trust that. So consider the source of where the QR code is. Something that comes in the mail, consider the source. This seems very reliable. Let's say that, I don't know, AccuWeather or the U.S. Meteorological Service sent out letters saying, here, we're going to send you an app. Seems like a lot of people would probably trust that. I might trust that. But do we need it? And so why would I do that instead of just going to my phone and downloading an app? Maybe people who don't know as much or aren't as tech savvy might do that. I suspect that you all probably would not because you already have a weather app on your phone. There's a lot of questions I have about why this worked, but in a very small way, I kind of admire the ingenuity of the hackers that they just thought outside the box. Everybody's going to trust this because obviously it's very easy to steal the logo from whatever service they're getting, you to download through this QR code. And what the QR code did was it sent them to a site that was going to do malware and malicious things on their devices. So that's the bottom line with that. So be careful when you get snail mail now. Sorry. Terry, real
Merry
quick.
Christmas. I gotta go.
Yeah, and we got to go. And then Kathy, go first, if you would.
Just real quick, I was going to tell you, Miami, the
Yes.
hackers were putting the
Yeah,
QR
I was
code
just going
there.
to say that.
Okay, good, Linnell.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're probably got it better.
They were putting it where?
They're putting the QR codes on the parking meter where it's pay by phone, pay by whatever, and they put their own QR code over it. So Miami had to go through and eliminate every QR on every parking
Oh, God.
kiosk because they didn't know which ones were good and which ones were bad.
When they just put it over top, it was like a taped
Yeah.
sticker.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh.
that's easy hack too. Jeez.
Yeah.
That's thinking
Anyway.
outside the box. Is that what you were going to say, Terry?
I was gonna say that just happened to us this summer. It went up in Saratoga. It went to like a Chinese restaurant, and the restaurant kept saying, they were sometimes they weren't getting orders or anything, but they kept getting these. They had no clue, and the people for some reason I don't know why you didn't get a receipt, or maybe said send to your email or something. I don't know how it worked, but that was
Wow.
something else so fast, and they got rid of it pretty fast. It's a kind of smaller town area that has meters. It's not like some other towns.
So
But-
Kathy or Linnell, what was their fix? Because I know that you pay the meters that way. How did they fix that so that people could still park?
They took it
Uh,
off. As-
Well, they took the QR codes off, but I think if you already had the app, or you could go and download the app to your phone, that
Okay.
was fixed. I
So
mean, you
they
just couldn't
just-
use the QR code that was on the meter or on the kiosk.
Another fix that they could do would be to say text, and they do a short text, text 86753, and then that would send you a reply with the correct link
Yeah.
for that app. But yeah, that makes it complicated for sure.
I
Medina.
saw.
I just have a quick question. Well, I hope it's quick. Someone earlier mentioned IDX, and I've been getting emails from them out of nowhere, and I think so. I'm going to research it, but I think I started getting it right after I enrolled in the TSA pre-check-in. So who mentioned
Linnell.
IDX?
I did. Yeah.
Okay.
It-
Is
I don't know
Okay.
if it's the same one. It's a monitoring service that was offered to me due to a data breach. So they monitor for additional things on my credit report. One of many that I have because my data's been breached by so many different companies.
Oh, okay.
I sign up for all of them too.
Yoga's starting. Can I just sign out and let you finish, or is there a way to?
Yeah, we're done. We're done.
Okay.
It's 9:50.
Beth.
We're done.
Merry
Happy
Christmas.
holidays.
Happy Hanukkah. Merry
Holidays.
Christmas. I will
Merry
see you all
Christmas.
January 8th.
Right.
Yay.
All right. Be
Bye.
good. Stay safe. And email me any questions. I'll answer questions over the holidays.